What's blazing, gents, and welcome to Forza Horizon 5. Well, what do we have today? We have a little bit of a review. I mean, we're almost a year into the game. I don't even know, 250 hours roughly into the game. And again, the year is soon to be a year. Actually, it's still 2 months roughly, I think. But basically what I'm trying to say is the game has been out a while and I want to give off some opinions. And I mean, if you've been watching my seasonal championships, then you really probably noticed a lot of my opinions already, but well, why not put them in a separate video? What we're also going to do is do some wheel spins, because I've saved up so many that I don't know what to do with them, and I thought, hey, let's test our luck a little bit while we do that. And wheel spins will be part of a topic today, so it's kind of fitting. Yes, I'm using a Reventon. Look, that's a cool car, eh? Cool? Yes, coolness factor 1000. Okay. So, where do we start? Well, Forza Horizon 5. It's overall probably... What is it? What kind of start is that? We're in for a good one. We're in for a really good... Let me take a sip. This is... Alright. Look at this. I had to. I can't do it like that. Much like this wheel spin, Forza Horizon 5 was a bit disappointing in some respects. But much like this wheel spin, it also could be worse. This is top-notch commentary, eh? And we have 69 spins remaining, so we should stop it right there. Hey, a Ford Falcon. Hey, I thought you want to talk about something. Yes, I do. Now, obviously, we will compare it to the predecessor. And we'll say, Forza Horizon 4 was so good. Well, are you sure about... What is this crap? Are you sure about that? Was it that good? Okay, yes it was. It was really good. It was an amazing game. But that being said... Don't want to have one of those. Horizon 4... was pretty much Horizon 5 on a different map. So one thing you gotta ask yourself, okay, which map do you prefer? And I think that's a lot about taste. I've heard people say, okay, they prefer the Mexican map. I've heard people say that they prefer the British map. This is really not going that great. And the interesting part is, I understand both. I very much do. And I personally... This is interesting because I prefer the British map, but only in summer, spring and autumn. Because the winter was hella annoying. On the other side, I mean, in Mexico, we don't really have winter. We just don't. We have no snow, we have nothing that really annoying. Winter season was like, you do the seasonals and then you don't play anymore because it's annoying. That's what it was for me. On the other hand, I can understand when someone says, okay, brought a little bit of variety and now basically all 4 seasons are kind of the same. Yeah, sometimes you have a little bit of rain and a little bit of wind and whatever. Those look good, I would wear those. And yeah, you have that, but it really doesn't change too much. Like, it really doesn't, whether it rains a bit or not, it really doesn't matter that much. But the snow really added a whole different feel to the game. Now, it was one that I personally didn't like. So I personally don't mind to see it gone. Although I wouldn't wear that. I still think it will make a return in a more prominent fashion than it did in the Hot Wheels DLC, where we have a little bit of snow and ice in the winter. and on the tracks as well, where we have the ice tracks. So we do have that. But that being said, it really doesn't play a role there neither. It's a side thing that exists a little bit. I mean, it's more than it is on the base game. If only for the fact that in the base game the only snow you really get is on top of a volcano and you never drive there. So I can see if you say, okay, there was a little bit of variety, there was a use for some cars that you normally wouldn't use. So many duplicates. And I get that, I understand that. So I can certainly see why you would prefer 4 in that respect. But from the map itself, I actually do prefer Horizon 4's map. It was obviously smaller, but it didn't feel smaller because it contained a lot of stuff. The cities were bigger, prettier, but I mean, it's Mexico, what do you expect? But still, the cities were bigger, they were prettier, they had a more variety, and here I feel like we have a big map, a huge map, a vast map, and we have the different biomes, which is really cool. I appreciate that. I appreciate that you have desert, and then you have the jungle, and then you have the volcano and the mountain. And you have that stuff, and I appreciate that. That's really cool. But I feel like you have vast amount of area where there is nothing at all apart from some roads going through. And that is something where I feel like Horizon 4 did better. Yes, the map was smaller, but just because you make it bigger doesn't mean it's necessarily better. Or at least that's what I tell myself to feel better. As we roll another 2K spin. But I really felt like Horizon 4's map, like nothing was just there to be there and add size. It felt like a coherent map, whereas in this game I feel like, yeah, they made it like, I don't know, what did they say, 4 times as big, 3 times as big, something like that was in the room. Maybe just twice as big, I don't recall. Don't quote me on that. But I recall they bragged about the size of the map, where I personally am thinking, okay, but just because the map is big, like, oh God, need another zip. Just because the map is bigger doesn't mean it's better. And I feel like a lot was added just to add raw size. I mean, they added some stunts. They added some of those. And that was okay. But when the game was released, it was also kind of empty. I mean, they also added some stories here and there. And yeah, they did add some stuff. But especially when it was released, it was pretty empty as well. And let's get that to new players. I'm gifting way too rarely. And that's where I feel like Horizon 4's map, it was a lot more coherent, things were there with a purpose. And even there it already had a pretty big map. Where you could say, okay, is it really necessary to be that big? And as big as the map is, you can get from one end to another pretty quickly if you just go through the highway. And I actually heard that as criticism, but I was thinking, okay, you can. That super long highway is also pretty cool. Like, I get it, you have that huge map, and then it's a shame you can just cross it in like 2 minutes. But is it really? Because there is a certain fun to it, to just going like nearly 300 miles an hour in a Koenigsegg for 2 minutes straight and just flooring it all the way through the entire map. There is a certain fun to that. I will admit that. There just is. And that was actually the D-type, that was a pretty expensive spin that we rolled. And that's something where I say, okay, that's actually not too bad. We actually get some decent spins now. I expected this to be more rage-inducing. But so yeah, the maps, I would honestly, I give a slight edge to Horizon 4. But there are positives about Horizon 5's map. So map is close, but I give a slight edge to Horizon 4. And I actually heard players saying, hey, Horizon 3 had the best map. And I mean, I respect your opinion. I don't agree with it at all, but I respect your opinion. So, whatever. I didn't play Horizon 3 much. I only played a little bit. I liked the mountain DLC. Although it had snow, yes. The Blizzard one. Alright, so that's the map. The other thing is the way the cars drive. Like, that's the essential part of the game, right? I mean, you have cars like this one, which is also a really cool one. Should I keep that? Get a duplicate? Nah, let's send this as well. We're really generous today. And I mean, I could have sold it for $1 million, but I have enough money in the game, not in real life, unfortunately. And the interesting part is, I mean, the game is about cars, right? I'm gonna keep some wheel spins for some reason. So the game is about cars, it's about the handle, it's about driving. It's all about driving cars in circles and sprints and whatever. So that's literally what the game is about. And the driving in itself, the raw driving, is not vastly, but it is better in Horizon 5. It just is. It is vastly better with a wheel, because driving Horizon 4 with a wheel was absolutely horrendous. Nobody wants that anyway. But even like on a controller, which is what the game was originally made for, you really have to say, okay, the game is vastly better, or not vastly, but it is better in Horizon 5. The driving is better. Now, the thing where you really notice it is the suspension system, or the suspension model. And that is, I mean, they reworked that, and it's just better. It just is. And that is certainly something that I like, that I enjoy. Feels a lot more natural. Another thing that I noticed is, and I explained that in one of my seasonal championships as well, you just have a much better feel for when the car is going to lose control and is going to break out. It's a lot more gradual, and you kind of get a feeling for, okay, the car is starting to lose grip, and then you can do something about it. Whereas in Horizon 4, you pretty much felt, okay, it feels good, it feels good, it feels good, and then it just snapped and it was gone. And that really doesn't happen that much in this game, as it did in Horizon 4. But, I mean, let's be honest, you can, and that is something I also like. Didn't have you wearing a polo? Okay. You can go from game to game, and it doesn't really matter, because you can just play both games. But the driving isn't that different, so it's not like anything changed dramatically. Like, let's say you play Need for Speed, any of them really, and when you play Forza, and then it's really, you really need to get used to it again. It takes some races to just get into the groove again, and then it takes some races when you switch back to get into that groove again, because the difference is so big. But really, when you go from this game to Horizon 4, or even Horizon 3, and then you go back to this game, the differences aren't that big. You can just go from game to game and shift and switch, and it doesn't really matter. I mean, you notice minor differences, like I just mentioned, but they're not big to the extent where, oh, they made some massive changes or anything. That just didn't happen. And that is something, like you could say, okay, they just copied it. No, they didn't just copy it. I just explained that they made some changes, but they were subtle tweaks to improve it. And that's what I like, because Horizon 4, like we just established, was an amazing game. It was superb. One of the best racing games I ever played. But again, that being said, they improved on some stuff, as far as the driving goes, to just make it even better. I think I already have 2 of them. We're really giving new players a blast today. Hope we get some karma points there. Could use them. And we're 300,000. That's a positive karma. That's what it was. I just had bad karma. That's why I rolled bad wheel spins. There we go. We solved everything. God, this is ugly. I won't gift that ugly thing to someone. That would give bad karma, actually. Or maybe not gifting it gave bad karma, apparently. Alright, whatever. What was I on about? Yeah, they actually just improved some minor stuff instead of breaking something that worked by doing everything different. Yeah, but nobody wants that anyway. And that's really what I've been thinking about. Like, Horizon 4 was an amazing game, so why change everything? That wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, that's a pretty cool car. So the fact that they didn't change too much is actually a positive in my opinion. Now, again, in the drive, Horizon 5 is better as far as driving cars goes. So that really, for me, makes it the best Forza Horizon game. Because the driving is better. Now, we get to another point about this game, which is functionality. And a lot of people, more than they did in Horizon 4, which also had its issues, especially after release. But a lot of people have problems running this game. So that is a problem for the people trying to run this game. Now, I personally do not have any issues, okay? So, I can't complain about that. I can only report... That's butt fuck ugly. So, I can't really complain about that, but it is something that I notice more than I did with Horizon 4. So that is a negative. So the game can be as good as it is, but if it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. So that's a problem. Now, I did read, and hear me out on this, because I'm no expert on that. I just rephrase what I read. That a lot of the problems existing with the game crashing and the memory issues and stuff were actually driver issues on Nvidia's side with the 30 cars, the GTX 30 series. And I've heard that across many other games. What is this crap? I need another sip, hold on. Another one. Gee, it's almost empty. We can't afford many more Wheelspins. And that is what really got me thinking, okay, is it their fault? I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter to you whose fault it is. Right? It doesn't matter. If the game doesn't work, it doesn't work. And at the end of the day, you're going to blame it on the game regardless of whose fault it actually is. We all know that's how it works. And that is something that kind of got me thinking, like, is it the game's fault? But again, even if it isn't, it doesn't matter, the game doesn't work for some people. But, yes, there's always a but. And that's good. Inactivity? I'm not inactive, I'm rolling wheel spins. Damn game. There we go. Where was I? Yeah, okay, so if the game doesn't work, that sucks. Okay, yeah. So, let's assume the game does work. Then we still have the basic functionality issues, like when the game was released, the Eliminator didn't work for nobody. Like, it just didn't work. Like, you were challenged by people that weren't on your map. Why would I? These messages are so stupid. Oh well, whatever. So that was, I mean, I personally hate the Eliminator. I absolutely hate it and I wish it wasn't in the game. So, with that being said, if it is in the game, it should at least work. Right? I mean, some people actually enjoy that, I heard. But yeah, if you put it into the game, it should at least work. And I haven't actually played it since they botched it. Okay, I need another sip. This is ridiculous. Blah, disgusting. Anyway, if you put it in, okay, it should work. We can agree on that. And I heard it's fixed now. I didn't try it. I don't know. I don't care. Again, I hate the Eliminator and I don't care. So, but this was really like, okay, it was put in and I was playing it a couple of times. And then it just didn't work. Like, I was literally eliminated by cars that were not on my map. Which kind of sucked. So I didn't play it again. But viewed from another person's perspective, okay, I'm still playing it. I'm doing the weekly video, so I kind of have to, right? So view it from someone else's point of view. Like, they just buy the game and they're like, hey, that seems fun. I normally play Fortnite and now I can play Fortnite with cars. That sounds kind of fun and quirky. And it does sound quirky. And then you're like, okay, you play that game mode that everyone was talking about. Hey, it's like Fortnite with cars. You gotta play that. Yeah, that's so cool. And you know, a ton of 10-year-olds download the game. They're like, hey, we play Fortnite with cars. That's so cool. And then we start the Eliminator, and then we're being eliminated by cars that don't exist. And then we throw their controller out the window. And I mean, that's good for the controller producing companies because they sell more controllers. Okay, so for them it's good. Maybe that's the conspiracy behind it. Like, they do that intentionally so people buy more controllers. That's possible. That's one idea. I just think we're inept, but to each their own. If you want a conspiracy, there is one. So now we have these people who are throwing the controllers out the window, and the parents are like, hey, that's getting too expensive. Please just play another game that actually works instead of throwing your controllers out. So, or the kids just say, hey, that game sucks. I go back to Fortnite, at least that works. I heard. I don't know. I never played it. Actually, I did play it once. And I got to address that would fit me well, right? Do you agree? Well, actually, you don't know what I look like, so you don't know. Just agree with me. Or don't, I don't care. And so they quit the game. And they don't return because we're like, hey, that shit... whoops, said a wrong word. That game was broken, okay? It was broken, I don't play it. And then they go to another game and they forget about it. And the $100 they spent on it, because obviously they had to spend the most money possible in the game using their dad's credit card, and then that just sits in the library and it's never touched again. So it really doesn't matter for those players if they fixed it and it works now, and I'm glad it works now, that's good, but they are gone, they don't play anymore. So you lose a portion of the players due to it not working. That's also ugly. And those players likely will not return. So for you as a game producer, that's bad, right? We can agree to that. That kind of sucks. Now for us as players, it's good that these Fortnite kits are gone again. You can make that argument. You can also make the argument, hey, we don't want to deal with these kits, get them out of there. Just have a game not function for a week and then their patience runs out and they're gone, and then we fix it. That's another conspiracy. Conspiracies all around. Do I have gift now? I just can't gift that crap. And so that is a conspiracy that is out of the way now. Okay, so it's just, okay, that didn't work. But that wasn't all. Then you continued further. Okay, sometimes you have the weekly Forzathon challenge where you need to do the 4 chapters. And sometimes you pick the car that is required and it just doesn't register. It just doesn't. Nobody knows why. It just doesn't. Sometimes the day after it registers, sometimes it doesn't at all. Who knows? Who knows? Then sometimes the treasure chests don't appear, or the clues don't work, or the translation of the clues is literally wrong, or their car type description in the seasonal challenges is flat out wrong, or it describes a car type that literally does not exist because they don't know their own game. And for a game this big, I expect better. I really do. Like that. Some of that stuff were amateur mistakes. They just were. Some of those mistakes were just flat out embarrassing. Oh god, gotta take another sip. 3 green ones is a zip. Sorry, can't take any more. It's literally empty. Okay, where were we? So yeah, I certainly expect more than that. I'm sure you did as well. But you're still here, so you have some resiliency. So I appreciate that much. But that's just some stuff you have to point it out. And again, I recommend the game. I certainly do. It's, for me currently, it's literally the best driving game out there. The most fun one that is out there. Bar none. And that says a lot. Ooh. Ooh. I mean, we have that already, but ooh. Someone will like that. And no, not player name, gamertag. And it's just, you have players on the forum and on the internet and on videos and etc. that are defending this crap. We're talking about Microsoft here. We're not talking about some indie developer that nobody has ever heard of and that has a budget of $5. Okay? It looks like a sandstorm went over that. Look at this. That was repainted. So if we talked about a developer that nobody has ever heard of, and that 49 million, that was a lot of money. And a developer, again, that nobody has ever heard of, a developer that has like a highly limited budget, then I'd say, okay, fine. You have a $5 budget. I don't really expect everything to work. And here I also don't expect everything to work, but I do expect from a company this big, from a game company this big, I do expect that you get something like the car type description of your challenges right. I do expect the treasure chests to show up when I do the challenge correctly. And not to show the treasure chest on the map and when it's just not there. I do expect, if you got that wrong, okay, so it happens, you get it wrong, and again, some things happen and whatever. And yeah, it was a week that I missed where those two were, whatever, doesn't matter. So you have it happen, okay, the treasure chest didn't show up. You work it out, you say, okay, that's why it didn't work. Fine, whatever, it's okay. Shit happens, right? I mean, it's not great, but it happens. But and then after that happened, shortly after it happens again. And that's where my patience runs out with a company this big. Again, indie developer, $5 budget, I don't care. Stuff goes wrong. Early access game, you say, hey, the game doesn't really function that well yet. Please be patient with us. Okay, whatever. I bought it, I know what I'm for. Forza Horizon 5, one of the biggest racing game brands out there, behind, I'd say, Need for Speed. And probably the F1 games or something. But as far as arcade racing goes, or simcade racing, Forza is probably, I mean, it certainly has overtaken Gran Turismo, if only because Forza is available on PC and not just on Xbox. But also quality-wise, Forza, with having Motorsport and Horizon, has just so much more variety than Gran Turismo. Okay, so it's a huge ass company. It has a massive budget. I'm sorry, I expect more. I just do. I do expect a little bit more than that. We could actually do some other. I can't do the trial, and I can't do this. 2022, right, for Horizon Mexico Festival. Alright, so let's travel to the festival. So I do expect more than that. And I certainly expect that after not only one treasure chest didn't show up, but 2, 3, 4 treasure chests, they just did not show up. You have that happen again and again. And I read on the forum, hey, we kind of fixed it, we figured out why that happens. And then it happened again.
Welcome back, Lee.
That laughter was not for what I was saying, by the way, but it was fitting. And I'm like, okay, I do expect more from you, without sounding like an ass. Okay? I think. So that's certainly something where I was a little disappointed. And that is, and people have complained, okay, wait, they can't form convoys, and what else? A lot of the online stuff hasn't worked at the start. Your map was the Horizon Arcade didn't really work. Nobody ever joined them because your map was empty, obviously. What else happened there? Yeah, map was empty, nobody joined the Horizon arcades. Then the Horizon arcades were so ridiculously awful and hard that like literally nobody could do them. Yes, that also like was a thing. Let's pick the XC real quick. Because this is probably going to take a little bit longer. So you had all that stuff in the beginning. And I really have to say, people that stuck through it and are still there, I've seen some stuff. I have certainly seen some stuff. And those are the ones you really have to be thankful for. Because they really kept your game alive. Through all of this crap, mind you. And especially at release, this game had a lot of crap. So everyone that dropped a negative review at the start of the game, right, really had a point. Because a lot of stuff really didn't work very well. And again, from a technical standpoint, the game has always worked for me. Most of the stuff here has worked for me. It was fine for me. But other people had a way worse experience. And even for me, a lot of stuff didn't work. Like map being empty, arcade stuff not working, Wheel Eliminator not working, some online stuff not working. And I was like, okay, I can live without that. But it would be fine if it worked. I mean, it would be great if it worked, right? Like people buy stuff for those purposes as well. And that was, I don't know. So yeah, it was certainly something where I was thinking, okay, you can't do that. You can't release the game anymore. But that is something, like in the entire gaming industry, that's a problem these days. Games being released in states where you really shouldn't release them. And then they slowly get worked into a shape where you can say, okay, there is a point to buying it. And that is really why you probably shouldn't pre-order games anymore. I mean, I'm recording that stuff. I'm just pre-ordering it because I'm recording it anyway and I'm buying it anyway. But if you have time, don't show it again, please. I got this message yesterday and I don't know what it is because everything is working fine. Maybe my CPU is dying. Hooray, new PC. Can you please give money, please? Oh god. That would be exactly the correct time to need a new PC. Oh, whatever. It's working fine. I don't know what the issue is. Oh, whatever. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. You have a game, it comes out, it doesn't work well. That's problematic. And the real issue is, if you release a game like that, and again, that goes for the entire industry, but a lot of players just won't return. And it's a risky deal from from game companies to say, okay, they bought the game though, we got the money, we don't care if they only play 3 hours of it, because they can't be funded. But that's a risky strategy, because we're not gonna buy your next game. So I'm not sure what to make of it. Like, yeah, you fix it after a while, but it does leave a sour taste. And it's not that quickly forgotten. It just is not. And the last thing I want to talk about is the AI. It's not very good. They improved it. They also made the trial a little bit more drivable. But the AI, it had that weird benefit on dirt racing, and that was problematic. The way it performed on dirt racing was really problematic, and mainly due to its incredible performance there. I mean, it was just 15 speed skills. we can do that. It just had an incredible performance on dirt races, and especially cross-country races. Like, it just had that amazing traction, and it was so much harder to drive dirt races than it was driving road races. And that has improved a little bit now, I feel like. The AI isn't as massively much more powerful than you are on dirt races. Let's see if we can get speed skills. So yeah, that was certainly, especially the early AI, I didn't really feel like it was any. It was good at driving, but I felt like it was a worse natural AI, right? And then I read something interesting, and I'm not entirely sure what to make of it, that their AI learns from the players playing the game. So when the game came out, the AI obviously hasn't learned anything yet, it was just a base AI. And over time, it learns from all of the players playing the game to drive more natural. And I am of the opinion that the general performance of the AI has gotten better and more natural. And I really wonder, is that the cause for it? Like, is that actually a thing? Is that how it works? And that would be pretty cool, actually, in a way. I don't think that was correct. Got some graphical glitches now. Fantastic. Yeah, that might just be me. I legitimately can't tell if it's just me or something with my performance is wrong or whatever. I never had issues like that, so I don't know what's up with that, but you never know.
400 yards.
But yeah,
Turn sharp left.
I don't know. It would be weird. Let's get it drifting. Hey, we got full speed out complete. So there we go. What's the last one? 6 stars at speed traps. Probably want to tune the car for that. Because why not? And something rather interesting about the AI was the way it just drove, like, basically on a string. You could see how the tune was an S1 900 tune and now it's a 901 rated tune. That sometimes happens, and that's really, especially when you post tunes and when they change the rating. That's incredibly annoying. That's not what I wanted to say. What I did want to say, 155, yeah, we can reach that, I think, for 2 stars. What I did want to say, it really drove on a string. That looks pretty cool. And that has changed, but the AI is now using a variety of lines at times. And certain AI drivers are driving differently than others. Some are more aggressive, some push more, some shove more, some get out of your way. And that is actually kind of an interesting concept. And I feel like that has to do with the fact that the AI is learning.
You have arrived
I wonder
at
what the 3-star rating here is. But we're not reaching that, I'm sorry. So yeah, maybe that's just the AI learning over time and it just got better and better. That is certainly possible. I don't dispute that. It is certainly a possibility. And if that's the case, then we once again have the issue of players playing the game early and thinking, well, what is this crap, and never returning. And I really feel like that is a big issue and something that really can ruin it and ruin the progression of your game, because you lose a lot of players with it. I really think that's a danger when you do it that way. And I think that's a danger with a lot of games out there these days, is that they lose the players at the start when the game comes out, and by the time the game works, it didn't even really have a chance to get a fair review. And I think part of that is the gaming industry's circumstances, like being pushed towards the deadlines, pushing the game out to date X, regardless of whether it's actually finished or not, stuff like that. And I think that's a big issue regarding the game industry as a whole, which is why basically every game coming out now is broken, and you have day zero patches to at least get the game out in a playable state, and then you start with all the fixes to actually get it to a properly working state, and then you improve upon it. So that is certainly an issue with a lot of games these days, and I get when people are upset by that. I am as well. It's like everyone should be, really. So certainly very understandable. Very, very understandable. But overall, and that's now my verdict on the game, and there are several aspects I didn't touch now, but I feel like this mini review has gone on way longer than it should have. Overall, my verdict on it would be the game is a little bit like most human beings. It shows amazing potential, but it just doesn't reach it. And that is pretty much what that game is. I feel it shows me it could be literally the worst, and it could be the best. And the fact that it could be the best racing game out there, it has the tools for it. The raw driving is absolutely insanely good. The weather here, the graphics are good. I mean, there are some graphical issues, but generally speaking, it is an amazing racing game. And especially the driving physics are so fun and good, and it's an amazing game. That being said, it has so much more potential, and it just wastes it away. In part by focusing on stuff nobody cares about. And that really describes most humans as well. And considering the game is made by humans, it's kind of fitting. It's just... could be great, unfortunately it doesn't make most of its potential. That really is what describes this game. I still give it a... at this point, a 9 out of 10. I really would. At this point, I would give it a 9 out of 10. It's my favorite racing game out there. And with a less empty map, with a map that more resembled something like Horizon 4. It can be in Mexico, but this has, and again, the vast open areas, they have some benefits to it as well. But if the technical difficulties weren't there, and okay, let's put the map out of there. It's a point for discussion. It really doesn't matter too much because I like the map, but just find the other one better. Doesn't mean that I don't like this one. So let's put that out there. But if the technical difficulties weren't there, and they actually execute perfectly upon that, it would be a 10. I would give it a 10. But like this, unfortunately, it's a very talented child that instead of focusing on school and getting good grades, spends its time smoking weed all day, failing school, and not getting what it should be getting.
Okay, ich wollte die Kugel durchs Tor lenken und bin dabei aus Versehen.
And when you don't get the grades you should be getting, and when you do pass school and you do it relatively well because you're hyper talented, but you're just not fulfilling your great potential that you have. And it's unfortunate. It really is. Because as great as it is, it could be so much greater. That's my gripe with it. Is great, could be way better. So, yeah. Maybe you want to share your opinion.
Wow, that's generous.
Let's see what we got
just
here.
The spirit of Horizon, isn't
Maybe
it?
we got
Shall we
some
send
good
a thank
karma
you?
today by gifting away all of these good cars. No. Unfortunately, we can't reply anything nasty. We cannot send a message, but like, let's just say thank you. Someone's been clearing inventory space. So, yeah, it's an 8.5. It's a 9, somewhere in that range. For me personally, you can have different opinions, obviously. So, yeah. I'd say that caps it off for today. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and until next time, farewell.